Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Holly Pritchard, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Sergeant Colin Miller. We warmly welcome the delegation representing Joint Logistics Unit East Sydney who are in attendance. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial, students from Shenton College visiting from Shenton Park, Western Australia, and students from Penshurst West Public School visiting from Mortdale, New South Wales. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is got by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Students and those who are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea for this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Charles Percival Yule Caithness. Charles Cathnes was born in January 1895 in Queenscliff, Victoria. Known as Charlie, he was the second of three boys born to English baker Charlie Cathnes and his wife Annie Emily Pippard. Charles also had three older sisters from his father's first marriage, whom were married and living away from the family home. Cathnes attended the local state school, along with older brother Malcolm. His younger brother Christmas died in 1901, aged only 5. During his childhood, Cathnes was also a founding member of the local St George Church of England Boys Choir when he was 9. After his schooling, Cathnes followed in his father's footsteps as a baker. He was also an active member of the local citizens' forces. By his 21st birthday, he was still living in Queenscliff and had become engaged to Alice Gertrude Duff. Cathnes enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force at Geelong on the 8th of June 1916. He was initially posted to the 1st Depot Battalion at Geelong before being allocated to the 5th Reinforcements of the 46th Infantry Battalion with the rank of private. After 3 months of initial training, Private Charles Caithness departed Melbourne in HMAT Port Sydney on the 7th of September 1916, bound for England. Caithness arrived at Pearmouth in England on the 29th of October 1916. He joined the 12th Training Battalion in mid-November to prepare for service on the Western Front. After a month, Caithness proceeded overseas to France. On the 21st of December 1916, he arrived at the 4th Australian Divisional Base Depot in Etapa, where he spent the rest of 1916. Caithness joined his unit on the 25th of January 1917 and was taking on strength of the 46th Battalion at Lament in northern France. The day of his arrival, Caithness wrote home to the people of Queenscliff, thanking them for the care package he had received. The battalion spent the next 6 weeks in the quieter nursery sector of northern France, before moving south at the beginning of March to the Somme Valley. After training exercises, the battalion began April in the front line, just south of the village Bullecourt. By the spring of 1917, the Germans had withdrawn their positions to the heavily fortified Hindenburg Line, with the Allies following closely behind. In early April, the 4th Australian Division and the 62nd British Division were ordered to attack the heavily fortified positions near Bullecourt. Without adequate artillery support, the attack relied on a dozen tanks to provide a barrage and lead the infantry troops through the enemy's barbed wire. On the 11th of April, the men of the 46th Battalion jumped off from their positions before dawn. Preceded by 4 tanks, none of the tanks managed to reach the Germans' barbed wire, but were left burning and wrecked in no man's land. Unsupported, the 46th Battalion were unable to capture their objectives. Exposed to murderous gunfire and artillery fire, the Australians were forced back to their own lines. The battle cost Australians 3,000 casualties. 387 of these come from the 46th Battalion. After the battle, Caithness was one of 138 men from the battalion declared to be missing in action. The next few months were a period of deep uncertainty for Caithness' loved ones back home. His brother Malcolm received a letter from Private Arthur Joy from Geelong in July 1917, which read, "Of course, long before this, you would have heard that poor Caithness had made the supreme sacrifice for his country." Private Joy's letter prompted the family to contact base records and the Red Cross and launch further investigations into Caithness' fate. In November 1917, an official court of inquiry found that Private Charles Percival Yule Caithness had most likely been killed in action during the First Battle of Bullecourt on the 11th of April 1917, either blown to pieces by artillery or caught with a large number of others in machine gun fire from the enemy. He was 22 years old. On the first anniversary of his death, Cathnes' family and fiancée inserted commemorative notices in the Melbourne Argus. The poem inserted by his parents and brother read, "Duty called him, he was there, to do his bit and take his share. His heart was good, his spirit brave, his resting place a soldier's grave." Cathnes' remains were never recovered from the battlefield outside Bullecourt. He is commemorated on the Villebreton Memorial along the names of more than 10,000 Australians who died fighting on the Somme and have no known grave. He is also named in the Queenscliff Avenue of Honour. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photo of his name listed on the Villebreton Memorial is displayed by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Charles Percival Yule Caithness, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director staff, and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.